Hi everyone, welcome back to the Ministry of Guitar YouTube channel. I'm Utkarsh. And today, finally, the secrets of PRS Private Stock and that eagle revealed. No, seriously, I think there are three questions for almost guitarists' mind, because I think most guitarists by now do know about PRS. They do know about PRS Private Stock. So the questions are these guitars really, or are they significantly different versus ordinary guitars? That's question number one. Significantly different in terms of the sound, in terms of the build quality, in terms of the playability. Question number two, are they worth the price, assuming that they are different? And what exactly do you get when you get PRS Private Stock that you can't get on an ordinary guitar? And question number three, who are these guitars for and are they for you? And I think I have an answer for all of these questions, given I have a little bit of a problem and have a few of them. Not to say that these guitars are for me, but hopefully I'll be able to shed some light on it with an informed point of view, given that, of course, I do have 10 of these, if I remember correctly. That is not a flex. It's just I'm just struggling in this moment. I think I have 10. And number two, I have extensive experience with quote unquote ordinary guitars, given that I had one guitar for the first 10 years of my playing life, an Epiphone Les Paul. So the first question, are they different? How different are they versus regular guitars? The short answer is they are dramatically different. And whether that translates into playability and sound could be subjective, but if I was to give my subjective opinion, the answer is yes, they do. The thing is, a PRS Private Stock is a guitar that's really made without constraints. Of course, it's constrained a little bit by the templates or the models that they are based on, but this does not have the constraints of a typical production guitar. You're able to pick the most balanced piece of wood, and often sometimes you have wood that is well balanced in terms of the weight, but maybe it doesn't look good. Or you have something that doesn't sound good. Tone wood controversies kept aside. So here's the case where you can just pick the best of the lot. You can pick the thing that looks the best. It weighs the amount that you want. It really is the upper echelon when it comes to quality of materials. So that's one. Even when you compare it to core PRS guitars or other custom shops of other manufacturers, there is no comparison in the material used by them and used by PRS Private Stock. So this is, for me, factually true. It's nothing to do with an opinion. The second thing about these guitars is, of course, they are assembled by the best within the PRS team. So that does translate, for me at least, into an exceptional resonant quality in the guitars. Does that translate to a better sound? I'm not really sure. I find them better. Clearly, a PRS Private Stock guitar is not, let's put it this way, it's not iconic from a cultural lens like an old Gibson or vintage guitars. And yet, for me and for many people that I know of, there's enough special about it's enough. These guitars are special enough that we have actually sprung our own money and gotten more than one of them. So there is that. So in terms of playability, better. Significantly better than a core PRS, maybe not. In terms of sound, better. Significantly better than a core PRS, maybe not. In terms of materials, yes, significantly better. Build quality, on par to slightly better than core PRS, which means better than anything else out there. So that's the first question. Question number two, are they worth the price? What is it that you get when you get a PRS Private Stock? Can you customize it fully? What is a made-to-order PRS Private Stock versus a limited run versus something you can pick up on the used market? Are they worth the price? I'll get to that in a second. Let's talk about what is a PRS Private Stock. So the PRS Private Stock is a custom shop within the PRS USA factory, and they build guitars that are based off their USA core models. In the past, PRS Private Stock used to be a proper custom house, a bit like the ESP custom shop in Japan, which means that you could literally make crazy combinations. If you look at one of my guitars, it's a combination of a McCarty 594 piezo, a bit of modern eagle thrown in. Nowadays, and which is what I'm going to kind of base this video on because this is where we are sitting today in 2023, they have a bunch of standard models, and what you can really customize are the woods. You can get a better quality of top, you can get exotic woods that you would not normally be able to get on any guitar. You could get, say, a snake wood fretboard or a Brazilian rosewood neck, which is, of course, super crazy, and stuff like that. And of course, the beauty, the subjective beauty of the woods that you can get in PRS Private Stock are pretty much as good as they get. There are also custom colors that you can get. So for me, one part of PRS Private Stock that I used to really like is the fact that you could customize the models. There are people who have taken aspects of models they liked and mixed and match. You can't do that anymore. So that's a negative in case you're ordering one today. That said, there are plenty of PRS Private Stocks on the used market which have combinations, and sometimes you can find exactly what you're looking for. A good example for me is typically you would not be able to get, let me think of something, a 24 fret hollow body. You can get that, and you can find a few of them used. Just a simple example. Or a 594 with a tremolo. Many people love the PRS 594. Some wanted with a tremolo. You can get plenty of those. So that's there. There are also private stock limited runs, and some of them are just incredible. The PRS Private Stock Graveyard 2 for me is my favorite, and I have one of them. But there are others as well. The Paul's 85, the John McLaughlin Limited, the Orianthi Private Stock. So you have those. Those are private stocks as well. In general, all private stocks are one of a kind. There have been a little above 10,000 private stocks built. Of course, the limited runs will be limited to a certain number of pieces, and they'll be similar, though, of course, they all have different figurings, so they all will be technically different. Is it worth the price? Like with most premium guitars, if you can afford it, it is worth it, because there is something very intangible about a good instrument. It really is. A $700, $800 made in Indonesia PRS SE will usually do the job. But the happiness and the inspiration that you feel from having a very nice premium instrument, much like you have it with anything, a premium car, an outfit or whatever, is different. And the thing that I like about PRS Private Stock is it's really not about the hype. In fact, there is no hype with these things. These things often depreciate like crazy depending on what the spec is, if somebody specified something crazy in the used market. So this is not like that mythical burst or anything. So without the hype, even without the hype, they just are incredible instruments, and you feel really happy to own one. You can feel it special. So in my opinion, they are worth it. You should have a good instrument, right? If you can get there. And my sense to you is, if you unless you are, of course, somebody who's stuck in the 50s and 60s and 70s and believes that only Les Pauls and Strats are good. If you like good guitars, it is absolutely worth having a PRS Private Stock of the kind you like in the collection. They are the kind of guitars I would highly, highly recommend. So that's number 2. Number 3, who are they for? Should you get one? I think I was getting that into number 2 as well. But essentially, they are for people who love guitars. That's who they are for. It's a guitar with no compromise. It's not just a guitar that looks good. It plays as well as anything. So the whole idea here is you can get the best of everything. And frankly, to be able to achieve that, even at the price that PRS Private Stocks are at, is a rare thing. If you look at other fields, the best car out there, the best piano out there, they're usually crazy millionaire kind of money, right? Think of a Bugatti Veyron or a McLaren F1. Sorry, I'll go back to the cars. I don't know much about pianos. PRS Private Stock new is about 10 to 12,000 US dollars. Used, you can pick one up for as low as maybe 6.5. It's a lot of money, even in the developed world, but It is certainly not out of the reach of anyone in the developed world. Maybe in the developing world, it is still very, very far away. So I don't think if you are a musician, if you're a guitarist, and you are seeking inspiration and you want to have something that can truly be special, I really don't think a used PRS private stock is that far out there. I mean, hell, today you're having mass produced guitars that are approaching. I'm not talking about the made in USA. I'm talking about less hyped factories, less culturally critical. Like, of course, made in Korea, the guitars are awesome, but obviously made in USA commands a premium. So even made in Korea guitars are hitting $3,000 today with inflation. The other thing with PRS private stock is the scarcity. Only 10,000 or so, 11, close to 11,000 have been made so far. These have all been made under the watchful eye of the company's founder. And we kind of take it for granted because, we have Paul Reed Smith. But the reality is that this period of guitars where the company's founder is there and actually working and monitoring the guitars is not to be taken for granted, right? PRS is now one of the big three, like Gibson and Fender. There will be a time period where the founder will no longer be at the helm, and certainly the guitars, each of whom, of course, are signed by PRS together with the director of private stock at the time, Joe Nax, previously now Paul Miles. Each of these guitars will have a certain significance. Paul tests and plays every guitar, every private stock guitar before it goes out. That's my understanding. So I really think that because these are scarce, because these are made with no reservations, these are just unconstrained. Given that woods, sadly, due to all of the ecological problems we know about, woods in general are not, you're not able to get the same visually stunning woods that you could get earlier. You could not get the same kind of old growth woods you could get earlier. So to have guitars built with such good woods under the eye of the founder, that's not going to be around forever. And honestly, 10,000, even if they get to 20,000 by the time of, say, Paul Reed Smith's retirement or whatever, I don't think 20,000 guitars is a lot. It's really tiny. You have many, many, many more of that number of Gibsons from the 50s and 60s and Fenders and so on. So 10 to 15,000, 20,000 is really nothing. And I can assure you there aren't 10,000 PRS private stock owners. A lot of PRS private stock owners like myself tend to have multiple ones of them. So if you can get one, and think about also the cultural relevance of PRS. I mean, today we think of Gibson and Fender as from the golden era, and they are, because they defined the 60s, a little bit of the 50s and the 70s. And that's why a lot of folks who were young then and now have the means are trying to, capture a bit of that nostalgia. Frankly, PRSs had a similar position in the 90s and 2000s, when someone like me of my age, or maybe 10 years older than me, or 10 years younger than me, were growing up or very young. And that there will come a time when this generation, my generation and beyond, will also be in a similar position to quote-unquote boomers today. We will have the disposable means, and it'll be rare to get a culturally significant guitar under the eye of the founder. So there's that. So I do think there's a future investment value. All right, I hope this is helpful. I can sense that my dog has figured out she's in. So this is the time to end the video, and hope it was helpful. Till next time.